Hello everybody, welcome back to a quick tropical update on Tropical Storm Arlene. It says Tropical Depression 2. It does look pretty disorganized, but if we go to the Aircraft Reconnaissance Center, they did find winds near 40 miles per hour at the surface. So somewhere around 11 o'clock, they'll probably update it to a tropical storm. You see it's going to continue. Right now it's moving west-northwest, barely. It's going to start moving south here shortly, which I'm pretty sure it already has. And you can see these models. That one has it going rapidly intensifying. Now, here's something you have to watch. So if we go to analysis tools, we go to satellite imagery. We can't go to tropical depression 2 because it won't be big enough to be able to see what I'm trying to look at. But if we go here into this and then wait for a couple of whatever, we don't have to wait for it to load. As it moves down south, well, it's not even there right now. The center is really somewhere, I think, up more, whatever. As it moves down south, it's going to encounter extremely unfavorable conditions. So it'll probably end up dissipating. But it's not likely right now, but it is possible that as the remnants of it move in this area where conditions will become marginally favorable again, it could redevelop. I'm pretty sure Hurricane Info said something about maybe it could redevelop near Bermuda, because wind shear is going to be extreme when it moves into this area. I mean, if you can't tell already, we have this trough, massive trough, which is what is actually protecting the storm right now, because there's kind of a bubble here where there's not too high of wind shear, but not too low of wind shear. Like, it's barely even conducive for this to develop. But it developed a well-defined circulation. And now we have a tropical storm. And if it were to redevelop over here, even if it didn't develop, impacts would have been the same either way. It's not like it's Hurricane Ian. Yeah, so heavy rainfall is going to be... See, when the storm continues moving south, it's going to get sheared apart. So the heaviest rain will probably be a eastern, southern Florida, the Bahamas, Cuba, and then now some models, after they take it into here, have it redeveloping. And then, now here's the thing. Since this is such a small system, it's kind of hard to predict the intensity on these, because we've seen small systems rapidly develop in extremely unfavorable conditions. Like Hurricane Beryl, pretty sure it was 2018, was in the main development region and rapidly developed with a ton of dry air and moderate wind shear. So this system is able to wall itself off from that wind. As I was saying before I got cut off, if this system is able to wall itself off from that wind shear and dry air, which it is doing a horrible job of doing that right now. If we actually go take a look at the current storm, it is doing an absolute horrible job at doing that. You can see only one side of the storm has convection. That's the northeast quadrant, which is usually the strongest part of the storm. And you can see that well-defined circulation, which tomorrow daytime heating will probably help strengthen the system a little bit more, because that's usually what happens. Daytime heating causes instability. Convection blows up near the center, causes strengthening. But you can see there is a couple of dry lines in these storms. And usually along these dry lines in storms, you get embedded supercells, but that is not happening right now because of how much dry air there is. And the circulation is still kind of broad. You can see it is curving though. So what they needed to find that well-defined circulation, because they already knew that winds were strong going east. West. but they needed to find strong easterly winds near the south to show that it was a area of well-defined circulation. Now, if we go look at the Aircraft Reconnaissance Center, you can see they did not find terribly strong winds to the south, but they did find. You see, the winds up here were strong, but down here they were barely found easterly winds, but nonetheless, tropical depression. Now we take a look at. This is. So I didn't finish this, but it is posted in the advisory and on my channel. But now, what's kind of tricky right now is that since it's such a small system, I don't know if it's gonna wall itself off like some extremely aggressive models do. There's one model that has it becoming a hurricane. It's probably most likely not going to happen. And then there's a few that have a 60, 70 mile per hour wind tropical storm. But I'm going to say 45 mile per hour winds right now, 1,005 millibars, stationary, or maybe moving towards the south at 1 mile per hour. And then 40 mile per hour winds by tomorrow. Yeah. And then maybe still at 40 by midday tomorrow. And then weekends to 35 by late at night or super, super early in the morning on Sunday, I believe. And now, back to what I was talking about before my video got cut off. Go down here to Northwest Atlantic. Now, let's take a look at this again. You can see we have that dry line that I was talking about, which did cause some flooding for this part of Florida and severe weather. But you can see that center is extremely displaced from all that convection, probably 50 miles displaced. But as it continues south, wind shear will eventually push all this moisture that's on the northeast side to completely east until it rips it apart. But as the remnants of what will be tropical storm Arlene track down here eventually gets away from those harsh environment and could redevelop in the Gulf of Mexico. I meant to say Gulf Stream or Northwest Atlantic, because waters over here are relatively warm for I don't know why I just drew that relatively warm for this time of year, and possible that we do see redevelopment. Now, this system, there is a low pressure system somewhere in here causing heavy rain over the Dominican Republic, but that is expected to be non-tropical and continue its track towards the north. And you can actually see on satellite, you can see those warm Gulf Stream waters making it towards the north, possibly forming whirlpools. And now we go take a look at radar. You can see radar here. Don't mind my location. You can see. Wait for this to load. Radar. Now, center of circulation, remember, is somewhere down here. But you can see rain is displaced way far to the north. Now, the radar doesn't reach out that far, so there is a super heavy rain band probably holding the strongest winds right next to the low pressure system. But it's off the coast nonetheless. We have some moderate to light tropical downpours reaching the coast, and instability. It's nighttime now, so daytime heating is not going to aid for tropical moisture that was all over Florida earlier to redevelop. But now, if this blob right here continues growing, we could maybe see some moderate to heavy downpours a little bit farther inland. I'm pretty sure we are seeing somewhere around 20 to 25 mile per hour winds here. 17. Pretty windy. Now, if we take a look down here, you can see we have some extremely heavy rain, but the center is somewhere. Just glitch this really fast. Center is somewhere down here, and you can see radar doesn't usually do well on picking up how strong it is. I'll take a look at windy, and then you can see. Wait for this to load too. GFS has a continuous southerly track and actually has the strongest ones on the west side of the storm, even though the wind shear is supposed to blow everything to the east. You watch that area of low pressure as it gets elongated over Cuba, stalls over Cuba for a little bit, starts moving north, and then you can see it very elongated, and this particular run doesn't show it redeveloping, but some other runs do. If we take a look at rain accumulation, you can see we have next 5 days, not 3 days. See, the next 3 days, while the system drifts, we have 1 to 2 inches over Miami, maybe isolated spots of 3 to 4. And then we have central to western Florida getting the 1 to 2 inches, maybe isolated areas of 3. Then you see we do have a little bit of heavy rain moving onshore and on the southern coast of Panama City, I believe. And then we go take a look at the northeast side of the storm, getting up to 3 to 5 inches. That's off the coast. That's way off the coast. It doesn't even matter. But you see the Dominican Republic does get some heavy rain, but it looks like all the heavy rain. Actually, Cuba gets a lot of the heavy rain. But you can see we get some isolated spots, maybe of 1 to 2 to 3 inches. The Bahamas get a ton of rain. And the East Pacific remains relatively dry, where you would expect tropical systems to form up here. Then you see the Hawaiian Islands. We're going a little bit too far there. Actually, let's take a look at. It's supposed to be an update on one storm, but tropical storm. I'm checking this for a while. I forgot its name. I don't feel like looking at it, but you can see as it continues to track, it drops a ton of rain over Japan. Isolated spots of 16 inches. As it continues its track north, you can see eventually dives out. And then, let's take a look at radar again. Now, what is going to be interesting to watch about this storm is to see if it's able to maintain itself. Will we get the first tropical storm warnings of the season for Cuba? Maybe. Probably like a 20% chance of it maintaining tropical storm status for that long. Now, what would help it maintain its tropical storm status is if daytime heating is able to help convection blow up on this side of the storm. Maybe we would see it maintain tropical storm status for longer than expected, but it will track in this direction, maybe move over Cuba, and then into the Bahamas where it could redevelop, which wouldn't really make a big difference. And then there's the track again. You can see you maintaining that southerly motion until eventually it dissipates. It's kind of hard to tell because the area, well, the upper level low that was spinning over here has kind of diminished these last day or two, which has helped this storm, well, kind of define itself as a storm. Now, wouldn't be surprised if daytime heating comes around and the storm jumps up to 50-mile-per-hour winds or maintains 45-mile-per-hour winds for longer than what I expected. But nonetheless, second tropical storm of the season. And I hope you all enjoyed this update. Have a good day. Bye.